Hey, fourth grade, it's Mrs. Fondre here. This may be one of my favorite projects that we're doing for fourth grade, okay? It looks really simple, but it adds some really cool 3D to your project. We're gonna be making a snowman. However, the goal is to make it look more three-dimensional, where we have light, medium, and dark, and shadows, and a light source. So when you use a light color that goes from light and it kind of gets slowly darker, that's called value. That's not how much money it's worth. That's the lightness or darkness of a color. So for our snow example, we're essentially using pure white, the blue paper with white, and then blue. So we're doing light versions, shades, values of blue for this snowman, actually. All right, we're talking about the moon as our light source because this side of our snowman is lighter because the moon's lighting it up. And when you have a shadow, like my hand right now, there will be a shadow on the other side where the light is not. So if my hand has light on it right now, it's blocking and making a shadow on my paper. All right, so for this project, you really need a blue piece of paper. If you don't have one, let me know. I'd be happy to send one home for you. And we're actually going to be using oil pastels for this project because it makes it easier to blend the colors together. If you don't have oil pastels, I can also get those to you as well. But crayons are pretty okay for this. You just have to kind of overlap them a little bit more. They're more like on top versus mixed in. So crayons work, but if you want to borrow some oil pastels, let me know. I'll write your name down, check some out to you so you can make this awesome snowman. All right, so I'm going to switch cameras and talk you through how to draw this three-dimensional snowman. All right, so I have my oil pastels here and I have my blue square paper. All right, square just because it keeps it more in the middle, right? And we were going to use white a lot for this project, so you're going to want to get your white out. And the first thing we're actually going to draw is this moon, our light source. And since we want it to be a little different than our snow, we're going to mix in a little bit of yellow. So if you have a yellow or a light yellow, that will help us as well. Okay, so with our white, we're going to draw a circle in the corner that's about the size of a quarter. It doesn't need to be super big. So I'm going to draw a circle and I'm going to fill it in. Okay, just do a couple swirly swirls. And it's okay to press down pretty hard because you want it to be white, right? And even with my lamp on here, I'm going to turn my lamp off. Maybe that'll help see it a little bit better. You want it to be pretty white and not see much blue through it. But then with your yellow, you're actually going to kind of go around the outside of it to make it look like it's glowing. And that's the nice part about oil pastels, they kind of mix. And I can go back and add some more white in if I want to. Okay, so from here, we're going to draw our snowman. And if you know anything about snowmen or snow women or snow people, is they have a little circle sitting on top of a bigger circle, sitting on top of the biggest circle. All right. We're going to start from the head and work our way down for this because that's going to be mostly like a circle. And then we want it to look like it's underneath the head. So we'll do that one next and then underneath the middle. Okay. So with our white again, if I can scoot this over here, you're going to do a smaller circle, probably about the same size as the moon, maybe a little bit bigger. And then we're not going to put a perfect circle underneath. We're going to kind of start towards the bottom and then we'll do our circle. This. So you can see that it connects with that. It looks like this one's on top. And we'll do the same thing. We'll go kind of at the side bottom and make that a little bit bigger. All right. Don't touch the bottom though. All right. Because otherwise we won't have room for our. All right. Before we get into our value with light and dark, let's put our snowman on the ground. Because right now it's floating. So this is where we play that line game I like to talk about, where you start to draw a horizontal line, a nice long line, but if you hit anything, you have to stop. So if I start on the edge of my paper, I'm gonna go line, 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 line. Oh no! I gotta stop because I hit my snowman. So now snowman I can't draw until I get over here. Boop. All right, so now I got my snowman at least on the ground, so he's not floating away on us. All right. So whatever side our moon is on, that's going to be the lightest side of our snowman. Okay, so from here, I'm actually going to draw with white pretty hard and press down to just kind of fill in the side a little thicker. Okay, I'm going to do that on all these sides. Make it a little bit thicker and pressing down hard because we want it to be very, very bright white. If you're using a crayon, this will still work. You just gotta press down really hard. It won't be as bright as oil pastel, but it'll still be very white, okay? Now, the secret to this snowman here, a snowman is not flat. It is all of these circles or spheres sitting on top of each other. So when we're coloring it in, we're gonna do kind of curving lines around the snowball, okay? So when I go back to my guy, I'm gonna do lighter. So you barely are pressing down, straight up and down a little bit in the middle and a little bit off to the side. And I'm like, okay, Mrs. Fondre, that's so white, and it turns into nothing right away. You're right, let's go back and put a little bit more white towards the white side. Because our goal is to make it look like it fades across our snowman, all right? And we're gonna do this with all of them. I like starting lighter because you can always go back and add more, all right? Same idea, I'm like, ooh, that's pretty bright. Let's mix some more in here. Okay, so it goes light, medium to blue. And then over here, big snowball. Curving my line again, don't do any straight. Maybe in the middle you could do one or two, but then you'll curve this way. Curving lines, all right? Should say fades. Fill in that little spot I missed here. All right, so from here, got a snowman that's changing shape, but you might say, hey, Miss Fondre, this outside line is very, very white compared to what's next to it. You are so right. Let's fix that. So on the side of our snowman, I mix in a little bit of blue for the shadow, because like we said, our moon is light, making the light on one side. So let's add a shadow on the other side. So I'm just going to find a blue color, preferably darker blue, because a sky blue wouldn't look much like a shadow on this dark paper. So with our blue, I'm going to do the same thing, but only stay on this side. I'm going to cover that white that we added and just do a little bit over here. And that's the nice thing too about oil pastels. You're like, ooh, that got really blue. Mix in some white, make it a little lighter. Okay, go all the way and make sure you kind of cover that line where it looks very bright. Like I said, if you're like, ooh, that got too blue, mix some more light in there, make it a little lighter. Okay, so it should just kind of go white, a little bit of blue, more blue. All right, doing it. Recommend. We got some sort of a 3D snowman happening here. All right, before we add the face and the hat and all the customizable things, we got to get our ground in here first. And when we're doing this ground, we're going to go pretty quick, and we're going to be adding a shadow here with blue as well. So when you start coloring on yours, use your white, but don't press down super hard. Okay, I'm going to hold my paper down here so it doesn't move, and I'm just slightly going back and forth. And you can see our snowman looks like it's in front of the snow because this is lighter. So just go nice and light across. It's okay if some of the blue shows up here because it is nighttime for our snowman, right? So I'm just lightly go across. The one thing that you might want to do if you're really thinking about it is see how bright our line is that we drew originally? You can kind of mix in your white close to it so it blends a little bit more. Okay, so I got some white down here, looking good. All right, now we're gonna go back to our blue and add a shadow. So wherever your blue ended for your snowman on his big snowball, we're gonna kind of do an oval shape. Kind of just comes out. It's hard to see, but once you fill it in, it kind of does just enough to make it look like, oh, there's a shadow there. It's not meant to be super dark or super obvious, but it's enough to give you the effect of, oh yeah, there's a shadow. It's getting blocked by the light. The light's getting blocked by the snowman. All right, so that's the general snowman shape. I'm going to talk about the face and things you can do to make it yours. You don't have to do a classic top hat like mine. You could do a knit hat, you could do a party hat, you could make this as fancy as you want to, all right? But before we do that, let's do the face. And you're going to need a black for our eyeballs and our little charcoal pieces, and an orange for the nose. All right. Now, I think it's helpful for this to make the nose stick out of your snowman a little bit to make it look like its head is a little turned. All right. So with our orange, in the middle of our head, find your middle of your circle and just kind of draw a line straight out until it crosses over your snowman. Okay, it should go off your snowman's face. And then we're going to just turn it into a triangle so it's a little bit bigger as it goes back to your snowman. Triangle, done. You don't even need orange anymore. All right, from here, we're just going to draw a button eye, and it's going to be a little, pretty close to that triangle, almost in the middle for one eye. And the other eye is gonna look more, because right now it looks like a cyclops. It's got a dot right in the middle of its head. We're gonna go over a little bit and draw one more dot. All right, and let's give him a little happy charcoal smile too. Put a couple of dots in there. All right. You're welcome to add buttons. I'm not going to do that for this snowman though, just to show you how to do a scarf if you want to. All right. If you want to do a scarf, grab a different color, something that's not white or probably orange or probably blue, because you've already used all those colors. So I'm going to use, let's go with red. That seems bright and fun. Make a scarf. All you're going to do is kind of follow the bottom of that snowball that you made. Maybe make it a little thicker to make it look like a fluffy scarf. And follow that same rule about curving lines, because it's not going to stick perfectly straight off your snowman like a piece of paper. It's going to kind of follow that snowman. So I'm just going to do some thick curved lines that follow the curve of the snowman. All right, you can do kind of a knot in the middle here where they overlap. All right. But here's kind of the fun part. We still want to spend time thinking, oh, there's light shining on our snowman. So from here, you can add some white on the sides that would maybe be getting some light. So if there's dark blue, you don't need to add any, but if it's near the white side, you could add some highlights, those light bits on there. Okay. You can make a kind of stovepipe hat if you want to, which is just a long rectangle and a tall rectangle. And you can see in mine over here, I did that thing where I added a little bit of light on the sides facing the moon. Okay, that makes it all the difference to make it look a little more realistic. All right. For me, I'm going to do a knit hat just to show you something different. How about I do a, let's do kind of a purple hat this time. And to draw a knit hat, that's a little bit more something you might find on a snowman today. We're going to do, again, we're not going to go straight. Okay, unless you have the top hat, which makes more sense. This one's going to curve around his head. So we'll go above our eyes and curve down a little bit. Okay, it's not a big curve, but it's a curve. And I'm going to put a top on it so it looks like a hill. And I can go right in. And it's okay if you blend that white of your snowman hat in, because like I said, you're going to go in with some white anyway to make it look like the snow, or the moon, not the sun, is shining on it. Right? I even like doing some little fluff things on the top here. You can mix some white into those too. You can, if you did purple, you might want to do blue to make a shadow. You could do some blue mixed in, make it a little darker on that side. Put some on the little puffy tufts over there. Right? And the last thing I want to talk to you about is the arms. The arms are these lovely, lovely sticks, but there's a little bit of a secret to this one. Okay, you can see the side that's by the moon. It goes all the way into our snowball. It cuts right into the middle. But our other arm kind of just stops right away. It makes it look like this arm is closer to you than this other shaded arm, okay? So with your brown crayon or oil pastel, just draw an arm sticking out. And the side in the moon, or not in the moon, the shade, don't go all the way to your snowman. Okay, make it a little shorter too, so it looks like it's turned from you. And you can add some little sticky bits at the end to make it look a little bit more like a stick. I do like 3 little lines over here, maybe 2 or 3. You could put mittens on here too if you want to. It's totally up to you. Right? The last magical touch is these either snowflakes or stars. Some students like to think of them as snowflakes. The one thing I would advise you to do though, don't make them too big. You don't want to spend all this time on this beautiful snowman and then just put huge stars or snowflakes, because it kind of takes away from your work. So from here, I like just taking my oil pastel, kind of go tap, 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 tap. Okay, I'm not scribbling little circles. I'm just keeping it nice and light. Okay, if you are doing stars like me, you might want to get that yellow back out and actually go over the top of them a little bit, so they look more like stars and less like snow's fine. Maybe you want to miss a few, maybe you have both. All right, so yeah, that is snowman at night. Ugh, I love it. This is just so much fun to do with you guys, because it's a good way of taking something you know and bringing it to the next level of being realistic by adding those values. Okay, the lightness and darkness of the color. All right, so when you're done with these beautiful snow critters, I love them. They're so great. Can you please turn these into me on the Google Classroom? Just take a picture, put it in this box, and share with me what you did. I'm so excited to see what you do. I love seeing what people come up with. Some people like doing like super funky hats, different patterns on the scarf, maybe some mittens. I had some people adding shovels and like mailboxes in the North Pole and trees. Like people got all sorts of creative on this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you did. Please turn these in so I can see them, and I can't wait to see. Happy creating!